Good Sunday morning. I'm Phil Prazen from NBC 5.
And I'm Gromer Jeffers, political writer with the Dallas Morning News.
Right now, Fort Worth is booming. This year, the city hit a milestone, according to census data, crossing the 1 million person threshold. It's officially surpassed Austin as the fourth largest city in Texas.
At the same time, Fort Worth ISD may face a state takeover as the district works to improve after several years of less than stellar accountability ratings. The Texas Education Agency intervenes when a campus gets a failing grade for 5 years in a row. Within Fort Worth ISD, the now closed Leadership Academy at Forest Oak failed from 2016 to 2019, and in 2023, when ratings were issued after COVID, the school failed again, meaning state intervention is on the table.
And the city of Fort Worth also has a new police chief. A familiar face in North Texas, former top cop in Dallas, is now the chief in Fort Worth.
To the people of Fort Worth, hear me clearly. I will work tirelessly for you. Every resident of this city deserves to feel safe in their home, in their neighborhoods, and on our streets.
He starts his new role September 22nd. Mayor Mattie Parker is now in her third term as mayor, reelected in 2025. In mid-September, the city council will vote on a budget. Parker manages a city in transition, growing, challenging, and in a rivalry with more partisan office holders at the county level. We went to Fort Worth to find out more. Let's first talk about the schools here in Fort Worth.
Sure.
Many people in the community feel like they're underperforming. What's your position on that?
Well, I think the data would tell you they're underperforming, and our residents, our parents, have a right to ask these questions. You know, how did we get here? And more importantly, what does the future look like to make sure that Fort Worth ISD becomes the best performing urban district in Texas rather than the worst performing district? And I think right now is a time of significant change and transition towards something better. You know, first day of school, I got to be with Dr. Karen Molinar and her team at several campuses, including Mary Louise Phillips Elementary School, which had significant growth in the last year, you know, going from an F to a B campus, and a recognition that change is possible even in a short period of time with excellent quality instruction, with the right level of leadership in your principals, autonomy for teachers, but also a real clear direction on what quality instruction looks like. But at the same time, as you well know, we have a long way to go.
Do you have an opinion on what the TEA should do? I guess there's really two options of closing campuses or taking over the district.
My allegiance is to Fort Worth ISD kids, our students in classrooms that don't get to redo first or second or eighth grade. Right, this is their educational journey, and we all can agree that education is the great equalizer and creates opportunity for students. I have seen remarkable change. I do think Dr. Karen Molinar is an excellent leader. I know her heart is with this district. When you walk the halls of our district today compared to a year ago, it is palpable. The difference in enthusiasm and focus is there. Now the question for Commissioner Morath and his team is to indicate whether or not it's enough change. And is he seeing what he needs to see? Because he gets one chance at this for a district in his state that has been underperforming for decades, and we owe it to these students to get it right.
It sounds like you're open to the state taking over, though.
I'm open to what is best for kids. If we can prove a convincing case from Commissioner Morath, and he can sit down with me and other stakeholders to say this is the only path to get our students where they deserve to be one of the highest performing districts, then I will be on board, right? If I'm not as quite as sure that this is the only path to take and I feel uncertain about the direction, then you'll hear me speak up about it.
It's budget season.
Yeah.
Perhaps your favorite time of the year.
It should be, right? That's our number one job.
What are some of your priorities?
Yeah. Well, it's a continuation of what we know is working. You know, I've often said this over the last 4 years as mayor of Fort Worth, that city government should be the basics. It is about quality of life for every single resident that lives in our city, that wants to move here, businesses that are looking at Fort Worth. And that quality of life mentality should be applied to every single program, every single department. And it does start with public safety. The foundation of any thriving city is public safety, and that's everything from an excellent police department, which I believe we have the best police department in the entire country, to our fire department, now to our EMS services that have been moved into the city of Fort Worth as part of the Fort Worth Fire Department from MedStar, code compliance, libraries. If you apply that tenet of we're going to have quality of life standards, we're going to run efficient government, and it will feel like a get to yes attitude, a customer service focus, and all of those things will continue in this budget.
The budget here in Fort Worth is going to go up in numbers-wise by about 11%.
Yeah.
Any community is going to have people who say, well, why are we doing that?
Yeah.
To the folks who say, why can't you cut more? What's your response?
Well, the number one reason you're seeing an increase of 11% this budget cycle is a few different tenants, if I'm not mentioned, but in particular, we moved over 600 EMT and paramedic employees from MedStar over to the Fort Worth Fire Department. And that was out of a demand and a need we heard from residents. We want faster response times. We want to average that 5.5 minutes, right? And that's what our residents deserve. And we felt confident this was the right move for life and safety purposes and public safety. And we're in the middle of that transition. We just got that started this summer. That would be number one in particular, and also responding to specific needs in the community. These are not frivolous programs or departments. These are particular issues that we hear from our residents on. I already mentioned the other two: infrastructure, street maintenance, in particular the better investments, additional money into our PAYGO fund, which is long-term capital maintenance over major of these programs, and fund balance, which is good for your bond rating in particular. So we're making these investments in a really smart way.
You are a nonpartisan mayor running
Yes, sir.
one of the largest cities in the country, but you are a Republican. Tarrant County is important in the political dialogue we have going on today. Are you concerned with some of the political rhetoric that's coming out with the local Republican Party, some of the fights that are being staged in Tarrant County? How do you navigate all of that as the Fort Worth mayor and a Republican?
I navigate it by running a lot of miles every morning as to not be super stressed during the day, Gromer, if I'm being honest.
Right.
I am concerned, but I'm concerned for both parties. I'm concerned for our country. I really believe that 90% of the country is somewhere here in the middle, right? When I talk to residents, they may identify as Republican or Democrat, but they sympathize or want people to try to get along and try to find compromise. That's my job as your mayor. I couldn't get anywhere on any Tuesday or get any vote done if I wasn't willing to work with both sides. The rhetoric you've seen, particularly from the Republican Party in Tarrant County, is not only toxic, it can be dangerous, right? It's incredibly inflammatory, and it's not helpful at all. I've seen the same thing from the Democratic Party, both to me personally and across our state. So my point is, as a nonpartisan office holder, is how do you get back to what really matters? And luckily for me as mayor, I don't run in a partisan way to be elected as mayor. And of course, I often joke with my family and my husband, I'm always making somebody mad, so maybe I'm doing it right? I'm trying to find compromise wherever possible.
Gromer, we'll put more on this interview up online.
Yeah,
but
it's fascinating.
She is trying to carve out a bipartisan space in Tarrant County.
Yeah, in a county that's really the fight for control. Partisan control is raging, right? And so you have Fort Worth, a fast-growing city that has all kind of issues that aren't partisan. You know, people don't care about that partisan stuff when they have to have their basic services, right? So she's trying to navigate that space, and it's increasingly tough. In part of the interview, she admitted that she's being called a rhino in some quarters of the Republican Party. And she has to deal with all that, keep her eye on the prize, and kind of do what's best for what the residents of Fort Worth, and that can be tough.